everyone! Today we're going to be talking about my personal experience with dissociative identity disorder. First, we're going to introduce our representatives, and then we're going to share with you the story of how we first discovered our alters, and we're going to finish up with some frequently asked questions. For those of you who don't know, we are Star Prism, a system of alternate personality states with dissociative identity disorder all working together as a team to overcome our trauma, dissociation, amnesic barriers, and other obstacles in our journey to learning and healing. We're out here on the internet doing our best to stomp on stigma, spread positivity, and make friends. Who is talking right now? Hi, I'm Winnie. I front a lot more now than I did when I first emerged from the back. In fact, when I first came forward and the others started being aware of me, I was entirely nonverbal. I was very small and scared. I didn't trust anyone except for one other alter, our gatekeeper. Slowly, I started building connections with those around me. Not by choice, but when I first emerged, I was very easily overwhelmed, and those who knew I was fronting were so gentle and understanding. With the help of one person in particular, I started to improve. If I managed to squeak out even a single word, they would celebrate with me. If I couldn't speak, then they would find other ways to communicate with me. They even started learning sign language to help. They were so patient and caring. I gradually started seeing myself as a little bunny badass for even having the courage to find my voice. It took nearly a year of hard work and encouragement, but I wanted to be able to tell that person how much I loved and appreciated them. Without the support of those around me, I'm not sure I ever would have had the courage to speak, let alone be an anime bunny girl on the internet trying to stomp on stigma. Never underestimate the power of the love and encouragement of those around you. For me, it moved mountains. Here's a little about me. I am Bunny. My favorite colors are pink, blue, and purple. I love ice cream, and some of my positive triggers include jazzy lo-fi, stuffies, and video games, in which I am the ultimate bunny badass. Hi, I'm Grimmy. I'm the second chosen representative of the Star Prism system. I'm a pretty awkward individual with a side of silliness, but I always do my best as our system's host. While, as you can see, I am not a bunny, I am an absolute wee gremlin of a person. I have been the host of our system for our entire life, we think, which has gotten us into some pretty awkward scenarios. I'm the one who tells the waiter, "You too," when he tells us to enjoy our meal. Being the host all the time, especially as an alter who can be incredibly socially inept, is very stressful. I'm the face of the group. It's like being in a D&D party and the person who does all the talking just shouldn't. Thankfully, Winnie, Sophie, and the other members of the system can help me out from time to time. It's also hard because it can be difficult to see myself as anything more than a mask. After all, the term for what I am is apparently normal part, but deep down, I know I am more. I'm looking forward to figuring out what that is. Maybe representing us without masking will help. Some things about me? My favorite song is Grace Kelly. I love adorable cringe anime, hopping in rain puddles, environments with close friends where I don't have to mask, and cheese. Hello, my darlings. I am Sophie. I am the new third chosen representative of the Star Prism system. I am the oldest of the representing alters. I have been helping Grimmy front since we were a child. I am a protector of sorts. My job when we were young was to keep everyone around us happy so that our environment would appear healthy. Now I fight those tendencies in order to be a healthier person, though making people happy is still deeply important to me. I did not want to be discovered within our system, so I was quite distressed when they noticed my behavior and differences. It took me a while to be comfortable with being recognized as an alter, and even then the pressure of being seen by the others was too overwhelming for me. I couldn't take the pressure of being seen by the others as imperfect, which, of course, I am. But what I did when I was first uncovered is, without the knowledge of the others, I pushed my own imperfections onto them as though I could do no wrong and my mistakes were theirs. This was unfair to everyone in our system in so many ways, including myself. In order to grow, we must acknowledge our imperfections and work to improve them. Taking responsibility and accountability is vital on the road to healthy living. Nowadays, I still have trouble dealing with mistakes I make, but with the help of my chosen family and the others in my system, I'm learning that how you respond to mistakes is much more important than never making them. I prefer a good, calm, clean atmosphere. One of my favorite pastimes is drinking a good cup of tea while listening to the Howl's Moving Castle soundtrack and petting my cat. The story of how we discovered our alters is long and a bit convoluted because we were not mentally ready to see a medical explanation for what we were experiencing at the time. We had been brought under a roof that didn't really have a positive view of mental health issues and professionals. On a normal day, I was driving to a former friend's house when I felt a feeling of deep rage somewhere within me. It was very disorienting, so it was a good thing we were on a slow-going gravel road. The rage wasn't loud, it was just this bubbling feeling without words behind it. I thought I was dealing with spirits, or perhaps guardians of a metaphysical nature. This was supported when we discovered Canis. He was unhappy with the way we were living our life, and he pushed us to improve not only our quality of living, but also our close relationships. I was unwilling to see a medical answer for almost 3 years, especially a medical answer that involved the implications of an amount of trauma that I was incredibly unprepared for. It would be 2 years before I even Googled dissociative identity disorder. It took even longer for me to understand that I was justified in my trauma. It was like I believed that if I had a trauma-based disorder, it took something away from other people with trauma-based disorders. The denial that goes hand in hand with dissociative identity disorder was a massive hindrance to me when it came to getting help and improving my life. I thought for so long that either what I was going through wasn't that serious, or if I accepted that it was, then I would lose any hope I had at a life I wanted. It was during our second stint being homeless when we admitted to ourselves that we needed therapy, and even then we weren't able to get any until we had had a stable roof over our head. By the time we made it to our first session, our therapist received a trauma dumping of a lifetime, or as much of one as could fit into an hour. After a month or so, our therapist recommended someone they thought could give us a diagnosis. Nearly a year after seeing my wonderful doctor, I can proudly say that I had healed and accepted myself enough that the validation of a true diagnosis was something that we celebrated. And now to go over some frequently asked questions. What does it feel like shifting from one alter to another? That depends on the level of dissociation that comes with a switch. Sometimes it can happen very quickly from moment to moment, and other times it can be super disorienting. I think the more familiar we are with an alter, the lower our level of dissociation, but there are exceptions to this, especially when we are tired or distressed. What is your dissociation level? That depends. Our levels of dissociation are higher when we're tired, distressed, or bored, but we do dissociate daily. We're still working on being able to quickly ground and pull ourselves out of these states of emotional and psychological distance. Do alters change over time? Meaning, can alters be lost or replaced, or do they stay the same no matter how long you've had them? This is a great question. From what I understand, yes, in a way. Alters can go into dormancy of sorts for unspecified periods of time. We've never had this happen to us personally, but we've heard of it. To be honest, the thought is a bit frightening. But other than going into dormancy, alters can emerge from what we call the back, or they can be created through stressful circumstances in which the brain deems it necessary to use its learned survival skill. Alters can also fuse or combine together to create a new alter that is a blend of the two or more that have fused. We've blended alters together to make new ones before, but they've never really been permanent. Are you using anything to track your switches? Well, we have a simply plural, but since sometimes, especially when we're working together on content creation, we can have rapid multiple switches in the span of an hour, updating it has been nearly impossible. I will say, though, it is really nice that you can set multiple alters to the front at once. Being co-conscious is real. What kind of in-system relationships do you guys have? Do you all identify as siblings or something else? For the most part, what we feel between each other is a strong, vague, familial bond. However, there are some cases where it gets more specific for whatever reason. For instance, Canis and Damon are brothers, and Seraphina and Winnie are sisters. But the vague family vibes are shared between even the alters that don't really get along, like Sophie and Beatrix. Do ages in your system feel defined, or are they more sort of based on behavior or memories? The latter would have to be the case. For instance, I feel as though I'm in my 30s, which is older than the physical body. I age slide depending on the day, but most of the time I feel as though I'm about 35 based on my own memories and behavior. When asking our therapist how it was possible to have alters that were older than the body, our therapist responded with the fact that it makes perfect sense as trauma is aging. What is something that you want people to know about dissociative identity disorder that isn't commonly understood? I have 2 things I would like everyone to know. The first is that not only are people with DID no more likely to hurt anyone than any other person, they are actually more likely to hurt themselves. The unaliving rate of those with DID is 70%, which is astounding. The second is that having DID is not an excuse to get away with harmful words or actions. System accountability is a thing. We are all a team and we must all take responsibility for each other, which may not feel or seem fair sometimes, but it makes it no less true. If one of us does something, we must all own up to it. What is every altar's opinion of the body and its life? Do they see it as their life to live? That they're helping the host to live? Or that it's the body's life and that they all hold individual parts of it? Or something else entirely? Oh boy, that is a fantastic and very well thought out question. Shout out to Ebonwee for asking it. The answer to this changes from altar to altar. We tend to think of ourselves as a family all working together. Whoever is up front represents the whole system, and that means that it doesn't matter if we have issues with each other. We must trust each other. I see us as a bunch of gremlins all stacked on top of each other in a trench coat, all doing our best to be a person. Some altars are meant to help with operating, some with balance, and we all share the body, which means we all must respect it. Like, Canis needs to trust that Damon won't give us alcohol poisoning or sprain both of our ankles trying to do a stunt. Again, overall, we are a team and a family. It took us a long time to get where we are now, and we still have a long way to go. But we have come so far, from being miserable, homeless, and neck deep in denial to diagnosed on a path to healing with a roof over our heads. Thank you guys so much for watching. We want to take a moment to thank our Patreon members for their incredible support. Shout out to JD, Orion, Piccolorama, Spam, and the Midnight Syndicate. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to hit that like button, comment with thoughts and questions, and subscribe!